This week we're going to be making farinata, a fermented Italian chickpea pancake. Goes by a few different names in other places around the northern Mediterranean, but they're all basically the same thing. And I'm going to put some extra ingredients in it to kind of turn it into more of a full meal, because even though it's a pretty heavy thing already. So let's get cracking. So to start off here, we're just going to add, the recipe I'm using is 2/3 of a cup of chickpea flour. If you've never seen chickpea flour before, this is the bag that I use. You can get this at most Indian markets, South Asian markets. I'm going to put a little bit of salt in here too. Not a whole lot, because we're going to be putting other stuff in there too. And then 3/4 of a cup of water. And we're just going to get this really blended up here. We want to get all those lumps out, and you probably see all those lumps in there. We're going to try to get those out as much as possible, so we want it to be smooth. Alright, so we got most of those lumps out. Now the thing that you need to do is nothing. You're just going to let this sit, it's going to ferment, and we're going to come back in about 3 or 4 hours. You can let this go for 24 hours. I've seen some recipes where they just leave it for 30 minutes. But it's basically going to be like a wild yeast, wild fermentation here. I have not let it go for 24 hours before, but I definitely is something that I'm going to be trying in the future. So now we do nothing. We wait. Alright, the farinata has been fermenting for a full 24 hours. I left it for the full 24 hours. So you can see how bubbly and fermenty it is. And it smells a little bit different than it did before. So the first thing we need to do is we need to put olive oil in the pan. I'm going to use probably what seems like an absurd amount of olive oil for what I'm putting in here. It's kind of a theme of this channel, I think. All my recipes call for an absurd amount of olive oil. And then I'm going to put the farinata batter in to the oil. And I know this looks really thin, looks kind of weird, but this is how you do it. I'll put this over here. Now, traditionally in a farinata, you would get things like rosemary and pepper, something like that. Very simple. But I'm making kind of a deluxe farinata. So I'm going to snazz it up with all kinds of stuff. So what I have here are Kalamata olives that I've just cut in half. And I'm just going to throw those in. Space them out evenly here. Some cherry tomatoes that I've also just cut in half. Yeah, about there. Some feta that I just kind of crumbled up. Keep dropping stuff. And then I've got 3 herbs, the classic rosemary. I'll just put that in there like that. Some fresh oregano. That's going to go in too. And finally, some scraps here. Some basil. This is not the kind of Italian sweet basil. I think this is a Greek basil. I don't remember. I lost the card that came with the plant when we bought the plant. All right, so now that that's all together, we're going to throw this in the oven. It's going to stay in there for maybe about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. We'll see. We'll take a look at it and we'll see how it's going. Oven's cranked up to 500, and I have a baking stone in there. And which I find kind of helps to give the crust, the bottom crust, really gets it really crispy and crunchy. And I'm going to throw a little salt, actually, also. Even though there's some salty stuff in there. I don't want it to be totally unsalty. All right, into the oven we go, and we'll be back when it is done. Look at that. Look how beautiful it is, though. So gorgeous. All right. Okay, so it's been about 10 minutes, and it's looking pretty good. Let's pull it out. It is golden, crispy, absolutely beautiful. The herbs haven't burnt. Tomatoes got a little roasty, and the feta got a little brown. Everything looks super delicious. So now this is going to need to cool down for, who knows. Best to let it cool down to close to room temperature. It'll release itself from the pan and be much easier to cut into. So there you have it. Deluxe Farinata, Italian fermented pancake. Beautiful, and it's going to be delicious. Make it!